What's going on, y'all, and welcome. I hope you got your Switch 2 pre-order in last night or this morning. If you didn't, don't worry. There's probably going to be plenty of stock out there. Based on what I was seeing, there's plenty of systems and there's more to come, so I wouldn't worry too much right now. But in this video, what I want to talk about is the Game Boy Micro. Now, I found this device at a GameStop, which was the last place I ever expected to see one of these. They're quite rare. They're not terribly rare, but they are quite rare. They can run you about $200. GameStop had it for only $150. Now, when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's cool. And I wasn't really intending to buy it because I do own a silver one that I purchased many moons ago for only about $60 at the time. That was at least 10 to 15 years ago. So to find the black one, I was like, I actually walked out of the store, sat in my car for a minute, thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I really like that sleek black look. The all black with the black faceplate as well. These have interchangeable faceplates. I'll show that off in a minute. And I thought it would complement my silver one really nicely, or maybe I'll sell one of them or give it to a friend. I don't know. We'll see. So there's actually a number of colors of these out there. This being the black, then there's the silver. In America, those are the two main ones we got. There was also a Famicom red one as well, which is quite interesting because we never got the Famicom. So most people probably saw that and was like, what is that? They probably didn't know because they didn't do NES colors. They did Famicom colors. But everywhere else in the world, like Japan, Europe, Australia, they got a number of different colors, anywhere from the silver and black, but they also got like blue, green, pink, purple, and there was different variations of some of these colors as well. Like there was kind of like a light blue and a dark blue. I think there was the pink and the purple, which are very similar, but there's also another pink that's more rose colored, and there's a couple other special editions out there. These came out in 2005, and they retailed for $100 US. If you hold the L button and you hit the plus and minus for the volume, it'll actually change the brightness of the screen. Now, the screen is very nice. It's only 2 inches, which is quite small compared to the other Game Boy Advances out there, but because of the pixel density, it's actually really nice and pleasant to look at. Now, the viewing angle kind of sucks. When you tilt it up, it gets really nice and deep colors, but if you tilt it the other way, everything looks really washed out. So you kind of got to look at it at a little bit of an angle, which is kind of a weird thing, but still cool nonetheless. Now, I want to compare this to some of the earlier models. So this model lacks a couple features. First off, you cannot play Game Boy Color games in this, unfortunately. You can only play Game Boy Advance. Now, as you can see, it's got some pretty large L and R buttons. It's got all the regular, start and selector down here, your D-pad and your A and B, nothing too crazy here. Everything you would need. It also does have a port for headphones, which is kind of strange. I'm not really sure why they did that, considering that they didn't put this on the Game Boy SP. But it does have that if you like that. Now, it does have a proprietary charger that is only for this device, which is, again, a little bit annoying. Luckily, this one at GameStop did come with the charger, which was quite cool. That was another plus for getting it. I believe the silver one I bought many moons ago did not come with the original charger, so that was a cool little plus. Now, other than that, as you can see, there is a single speaker here, which is the same for all the Game Boy Advance line. Only when you get to the DS or the Game Boy Player can you turn on stereo. I believe most games actually do have options for stereo mode. Yep, you can do stereo, but as you can see, doing stereo on this device isn't going to do anything for you because there's only one speaker, so you can't really do stereo on this. And it also lacks the ability to connect to other Game Boys. Now, there is actually an adapter that would plug into this charger and then allow you to plug it into, I believe, a GameCube or another Game Boy Advance, so you could trade and link up that way. I believe that's probably a pretty rare item, so just be aware of that. The other cool thing about this one is that you can change the faceplate. Bear with me here because these are not incredibly easy to get off. You kind of got to pinch it upward and push the A button down a little bit, but it should come off. And then even when you get it off this much, you kind of got to wiggle it off. And then here's our screen. And so there was a number of different faceplates that came out as well. This is the black one. There's silver. There's a ton of colors. So I'm not even going to try to talk about them all, but there's a lot out there. So that's another pretty cool thing about the Game Boy Advance Micro. Back together. So now let's compare this to the Game Boy Advance SP, which was the model before this one. So here is a Game Boy Advance SP. This was an AGS 101 model. So the difference there was also an AGS 100. So there was also, this one's actually dead, so I can't, oh wait, came on for a second there we go. So this is the AGS 101 model, and the difference between the 100 model and the 101 model is that the 101 had a backlit screen, so it was a much sharper, brighter screen than the 100. The 100 was a frontlit screen, and if you put them side by side, they're quite different. As you can see, this one I actually changed the screen out, and that's because this is my original 101 that I got from, I believe I got it from Walmart. I remember that day quite well. And at some point I was playing like Pokemon, I got really pissed off, and I literally threw the thing and I broke it. The ribbon cable for the screen was completely sheared and it was broken. A lot of the plastic was broken, so it was basically done for. But the hardware itself was still good. So like only a couple years ago, I actually bought an extra shell. I bought a different screen and I put it all together, and I reused the bottom of the original shell, which has the serial number and all the markings. So it's kind of almost as official as you can get. I have a couple other ones as well, but a very nice system. So this one, again, wouldn't be able to do stereo. It's only got the one speaker right in the middle. Form factor wise, it's okay. This is probably my preferred method because it does have the clamshell, so you can close it, protect the screen, unlike this one, even though this one does have a faceplate. But that is a plus as well. You do have the ability to link. One of these is charging, the other one is for linking, so you can link it no problem. LNR plus and minus. It does not have a headphone jack though. Kind of a strange thing. I don't know why they didn't just add it onto this, but it doesn't have that. So now let's talk about the original Game Boy Advance. All right, so I went on a little bit of an Easter egg hunt trying to find this thing. I had it tucked away because using one of these guys in 2025 is like super difficult because the screen is not lit at all. It has no backlight, so that really changes things quite drastically for this guy, making most people not want to use it, and a lot of people end up modifying these. So I'll show that off here in a second. So this being the original model, this one did not have the ability to charge. You had to put batteries inside of it. I believe you had to put batteries inside of it. Now this one's quite nice though. I think it's the best when you're holding it. It's the most ergonomic. It does have a headphone jack, which is quite nice. Only one speaker on it though, so no stereo audio, which again, stereo doesn't really matter when you're playing such a small device. All the audio just, it's only one small speaker, so it really doesn't make a difference. It does have the link cable, pretty much all the features you would need. Really nice buttons. Now, as you can see, no backlit screen is a total bummer in 2025. Here, let's set this up here. I'm not sure what game's in this. Looks like Tony Hawk or something. Vicarious Visions, interesting. So here is a modified one, and I actually have a couple of these. I really love these. Oh wow, you can see I believe I replaced the speaker in this too, so this one can get quite loud. Retains all the features of it normally. Oh, let's turn that down. Looks like I have Mario vs. Donkey Kong in here. And as you can see, the screen is very, very nice, and that's actually not even all of it. When you modify these screens, you have the ability to actually increase and decrease the brightness by holding select and hitting the L and the R button. So all the way max brightness. I mean, this thing's pumping out some brightness. It's gonna destroy batteries, but can get very bright, and the screen is a little bit larger than the original. If you can tell, it's very slightly larger. But that backlight, I mean, that makes a huge difference. Now, for the battery issue, though, what you can do is you can actually get a rechargeable battery and put it in there. So I actually have another one that I did. This is probably, I think, the first one I did. These feel really awesome, by the way. They have Handheld Legend has a really awesome shell, or maybe it was Retro 6. Anyway, they have a really nice shell that's kind of like almost like flocked, and it's kind of like a rubberized feel, and it's super nice. So here is one that has a rechargeable battery in the back. As you can see, there's a USB-C port, and this thing is a beast. I love this thing. Fantastic little system. So when it comes to like choosing one, obviously if you buy one of these and it's like all banged up and scratched up, it's not a bad idea to just get a new shell and get a new screen, put the work into it. It's going to cost you probably about $100 to $150, depending if you already own one or not. But I mean, the results are phenomenal, as you can see. Being able to up the brightness on the fly, having a rechargeable battery pack in it, I mean, this is the way to go. So it's kind of nice to have the option. As you can see, I have a ton. I even went out and, while I was searching for this guy, I pulled out some of the other 101s that I have. This was the 101 that replaced the one that I broke, and then I fixed it, so now I have two. And then this one I actually got from a friend, a nice pink one, in fairly nice shape, not terribly scratched up, a little bit scratched up on the back more so, but and otherwise very nice shape. So Definitely got a lot, and I actually have one more. This is another modified one. This one I used a different kind of shell, and I definitely don't like it as much. It doesn't feel quite as premium as the other ones do, but it still looks very nice. I actually had this one signed by Beat 'em Ups, Wood Hawker, as well as Bob Wolf. As you can see, Bob Wolf gave me a nice Sonic the Hedgehog, and Wood gave a Triforce, so pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, just a cool little set of systems here. If I had to recommend one, honestly, I don't know. I would say probably the AGS 101 is probably your best bet. I think that's probably one of the best ones to get. That, or if you get the original, you're definitely going to want to modify it. Or if you want one that's more on the go, what's cool about this one as well is it actually has a little spot for a lanyard. Yeah, right here. There's a little slot here that you can put a lanyard through it, or you can maybe attach it to your keychain, so you could always just like pick this up and start playing out of nowhere. So that's a pretty cool thing with the Micro, and it's tiny. On the Pixel, the screen looks really good, so take your pick. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you in the next one. Let's look forward to that Switch 2.